It is finally time to lay all the cards on the table. Imagine that right after watching this content, a massive red button appeared in front of you. If you had the courage to press it, your life would change literally overnight. You would be able to meet women effortlessly, navigate relationships from a position of strength, and genuinely feel that power. But first, let me explain why every piece of information you have tried to glean from dating manuals or online articles up to this point has failed to help you. We need to discuss your personal miscalculation, which is the same error made by 98% of men. Any man who has even a minimal amount of experience communicating with women or simply possesses basic observational skills knows exactly what kind of image attracts them. Briefly, it is the man who is capable of saying no. This is a man who remains indifferent and does not fall to pieces over female beauty. He does what he wants to do, not necessarily what she wants him to do. He is the type who can joke around and even tease a woman when appropriate. Whether it is the first date or the 100th meeting, he creates emotional conditions where the woman feels she is not in control of the situation. She is left with the lingering sensation that he is inaccessible. She cannot consume him. She could not conquer him, she could not bend him, and she certainly could not break him. The result is that she feels he is unmanageable, and precisely because of this, she wants to be with him. We all know the contrasting, opposite image. Let us call this program the gallant gentleman. This is the man who always says yes. He is weak for her appearance and status, doing whatever she desires in the mistaken belief that this will win her over. He is afraid to take sharp actions. He is accessible. Without realizing it, he becomes a tame lapdog. It does not matter if he looks like a tough bulldog on the outside. Inside, he is a pet. You have read the books, you understand how it works, but the main problem for men who lack effectiveness remains the same: the irrational desire to be liked by the woman. It turns out that such a man has a recorded program running inside him. Imagine an old cassette tape or a floppy disk labeled Gallant Gentleman. He repeats this loop over and over, and it does not work. So he goes online, reads a few books, and thinks that he just acted incorrectly and needs to change his tactics. He tries to insert a new disk into his consciousness, a new program. However, his motive remains exactly the same. He picks up the cassette labeled Alpha Male, but he plays it solely for the purpose of pleasing her. The foundation has not changed. You open a book on relationships with the goal of being liked, but to actually be attractive, you must stop wanting to be liked. Do you see the contradiction? For the majority of men, this concept remains inaccessible. Throughout your progress, you will have to abandon this desire, or you will stop growing. Conventional pickup artistry often deserves criticism for its philosophy, but it does contain some useful elements. For example, a man starts approaching women on the street. He is terrified of rejection. He is extremely dependent on feedback. He thinks everyone must give him their number, and if they do not, he is a failure. The essence is that a lot of information is dedicated to how you react to the refusal itself. You must shift your focus. One of the realizations I intuitively arrived at in my youth was simple. I realized that the me from yesterday would have found 1,001 reasons not to approach a woman in these conditions. But today I walked up and did it. Suppose it did not work out. I still felt amazing. I felt high on life because I took action, because I was capable. We changed the focus of the task. The goal is not the number. The goal is not her saying yes. The goal is that I simply took action and enjoyed the fact that I did it. Most men are looking for a headache. It is a common scenario where someone asks a friend who is good with women, "Can you make Natasha fall in love with me?" The experienced man reacts with confusion. Why would he want that burden? He is not looking for trouble. He is looking for pleasure from both the process and the result. He goes out, finds 15 women who are ready to communicate, has fun with them, and that satisfies him. Why chase someone down to force them to love you? It is a different principle of thinking. Therefore, the path of study begins with getting rid of the desire to please. Only then do we start developing qualities. Here is a valuable piece of advice regarding why women lose interest. Why does she flake, refuse the next meeting, or fail to fall in love? It is because you are predictable. You texted, you met, you drank coffee, you talked about everything, and then you went home. Ask yourself one question. How is this different from her 10 previous dates? It differed in no way whatsoever. Why would she suddenly feel a super interest in you? She won't. You might think you need to look into a book again, but the mechanism is different. You must master the routine. We're talking about a certain degree of unpredictability where you are capable of evoking emotions. The key moment in communicating with a woman is to trigger an emotion, any emotion. You can only do this when you have fully known the routine. Almost all the questions I receive describe typical events where a woman simply loses interest. The man is banal and boring. He cannot generate anything new. He gets lost in the routine and falls in love. You need to go through at least 50, maybe 100 meetings. Believe me, you will know almost every possible action by heart. I remember my feelings after years of practice. I would go to a meeting and I could predict everything from the greeting to the conversation topics. I noticed the smallest details. I would realize, okay, she's feeling a bit shy right now, and I knew how to react. When you have had a huge number of similar events, a switch flips in your head. You sit there thinking it is boring, even if she is pretty. It is no longer a supreme value to you. So, you decide to do something fun for yourself, something unexpected for her. You can only do this because you understand the routine. Your competitive advantage lies in knowing how banal other men are. Any attempt at imitation is doomed to failure. Women sense this just like a traffic police officer. He stops you today, tomorrow, and the day after, checks your license and lets you go. But the morning you decide to drive after having a few drinks the night before, he stops you and immediately asks you to take a breathalyzer test. You try to maintain composure. So how did he know? He has experience. The average woman has been on far more dates than the average man. She can feel you through your gestures, micro-expressions, posture, and intonation. If you feel timid or unsure, she knows. Instead of trying to fake confidence, just admit it. If a date is going poorly and you are stiff, do not go home with a pitiful result. Try radical honesty. Towards the end of the meeting, just tell her straight. You know, I've been looking at you this whole time, realizing how cute you are, and I felt embarrassed because of it. That is why I want to kiss you. And then just do it. This is a display of courage. We are talking about situations where she is still smiling and hasn't run away, but you have driven yourself into a dead end. It is like a principle I learned as a teenager. There was a high diving board at a local dam. When I first climbed it, I would jump but let go of the handle too early because of fear, and I would belly flop painfully into the water. I thought doing it more often would help, but the fear remained. Then I took the most effective action. I decided to just let it be. I decided I would not let go early, no matter what happened. I committed to the maximum. I did it, everything went well, and I never feared it again. Projecting this onto dating. If you are afraid of appearing insecure, say it directly. Listen, I want to get to know you, but I don't know how to do it properly. Tell me, how should a guy approach you? Do not try to be someone else. You will feel much freer, and regardless of the result, you will feel satisfied because you were authentic. You can even dominate from a weak position. For example, she comes dressed provocatively. You sit there blushing and confused. You can say, "Do you always dress so dangerously?" She might say no. You reply, "You know, if I weren't such a modest guy, I would have taken you home by now. But you got lucky. I am a gentleman." She laughs. Then you say, "But in principle, you could take me home. What do you think about that?" She starts to make excuses. You ask, what is the goal of a first meeting? To get to know each other. What tells you more about a person than their home? You frame it not as a trick to get her into bed, but as a logical way to deepen the connection. It breaks the template. From this day on, you have one task. Catch yourself by the hand every time you focus on the final result and get rid of that train of thought. Otherwise, you will treat women as a target, which is the behavior of 98% of men. They're like a fisherman who thinks it is a matter of life and death to catch one specific fish. He is shaking. He jerks the line too early, or he worries about losing it. The experienced fisherman sits calmly. If it does not bite here, he moves there. The fish will come to him. We must get rid of the fantasy that there is one image or symbol of a man that 100% of women want to be with. That does not exist. We're talking about a high percentage, maybe 80%. But the point is, the effective man does not strive for everyone because he does not need it. The mistake all men make is turning into hunters. If the first type of man attracts women like bees, the second type tries to hunt down a specific princess. He is doomed to fail. The most repulsive thing is seeing men with inflated egos suffering. These are the men who brag about their conquests to seek praise. A person who is used to imitating confidence is forced to hypertrophy their sense of self-importance. They do not match the image, and it leads to terrible consequences. They assert themselves at the expense of others. Such a man will never be a good husband or partner. In a long-term relationship, he will always lose because he imitates wrongly. When a conflict happens, he bangs his fist on the table and throws a brutal tantrum. A truly confident man would never do that. He would simply say, "Listen, after this event, I don't see how we can continue this relationship. It doesn't fit my view of things. We need to end this." He protects his comfort calmly. The monster who is trying to seem like a dominant male wants an apology on bended knees to replenish his ego. Finally, a small trick on how to set conditions for a woman. Many ask how to set boundaries. Again, this is an attempt at imitation. You either contain these rules within you, or you do not. When you meet a woman, you do not explicitly state cheating is forbidden. It is implied. If you have a principle, she will feel it. But here's a psychological nuance based on research. If you put 5 identical toys in a room and tell a child they can have any of them except one specific toy, that forbidden toy becomes the most interesting. Therefore, during a conversation, when you feel she's interested, say, "It is interesting talking to you, and you look great. But I would not recommend having a relationship with me. It is just difficult. I have very specific conditions, and I might consider a relationship invalid over small things. It would be easier for you to find a guy on a dating app who will accept anything. I'm a different person." This is another disruption of the pattern. It is not typical. Men do not behave this way. You are not trying to artificially increase your dominance. You are simply stating a fact with a smile. It makes you the forbidden fruit. If you found these insights helpful, make sure to support the content so we can keep diving deep into the psychology of relationships. Authentic action always beats a rehearsed script.